Hi, my name is Steve Williams. I'm with Solid Rock Realty. Today I'm going to be speaking specifically to sellers, and we are in March 2022 in Ontario, Canada, and it is still a seller's market. So I'm going to be specifically talking to sellers and what you can expect in a seller's market. Please, if you like this video, hit the thumbs up, and if you're interested in discovering more content that I put out, please subscribe below. It really is helpful and will encourage me to continue making content. So let's dive into it today. So at the beginning of when you're looking to sell a house, whether it's your house or an investment property or cottage or whatever, there are a number of things to consider. The first one, if it's your own house, obviously, is what time would you like to move? Now, kind of coupled with that would be a question of what time of year is a good time to move, what time of year is a good time to sell, to buy, that sort of thing. Because we're in a seller's market, if you have a property and you're looking to buy another one, thankfully you're selling a property and looking to get into another property in a seller's market. So you're selling in a seller's market, buying in a seller's market. So to you, it's not, it won't affect you as much as if you were a buyer trying to just first get into the market in a seller's market. Then it's more difficult. So in the spring and summer, basically as soon as things start to melt, we're kind of in that period right now. It's March, towards the end of March. And things are starting to bloom again outside. People are getting more excited about, the summer coming. This is definitely the time when there's more that comes on the market, more people interested in buying, more people interested in selling. So let's assume that you're going to sell in the spring and summer. I mean, there's validity to selling in the fall and winter as well, obviously. And if you're looking at selling in the fall and winter, you're just going to want to talk to your real estate agent as to different strategies and how to make that happen. But there's a few things that you need to look at before you sell. So one of them is actually the strategy on how you could sell. And one of the great things about working with a realtor is that they do have different strategies for working in the spring and summer. So what are some of the questions that you and a realtor may go through as you're looking to sell your house? Well, one of them would obviously be, how can I make this property, and this would apply even if it's an investment property or cottage or whatever, how can I make this property more appealing? How can I make it look like it's worth more, more interesting to people that are looking at purchasing? This is a huge question, and one of the things that a realtor should do is do a walkthrough of the home. I would just please advise you and please request that as the realtor gives you items to work on in the home, don't take it as an insult. They're there to help you. They're going to be working in your best interest if you're a client, and they want to get the best value for you. They want to get you the most money so that you're able to get the most money to buy or pocket or whatever it is. That's their job, and their job is to tell you what they believe you could do to improve the house. So for example, if you're walking around the house and you have 80% new windows, 20% of them are old, they could talk about windows. You'd have to discuss if the, purchasing new windows would be a benefit in the amount of money that you would get out of it by doing it. It could create new curb appeal or an increased curb appeal, scare away less buyers. But there are certain things, like a fresh coat of paint that's quite cheap, that can just rejuvenate a house as opposed to replacing windows, for example, which can be very expensive. So you have to kind of do the cost benefit analysis on each of the ideas that you're coming up with. If you know that there's a problem with a septic, then you have to disclose this. This is a requirement, and it would probably scare away a lot of people, but that's a very expensive renovation to do. So you really, again, have to look at the cost-benefit analysis of doing these larger, more expensive renovations. Typically, when you're looking at selling a house, you're going to want to look at trying to spend as little as possible to get the biggest benefit. So if you have a room that's, fluorescent pink, maybe you love that room, but a new buyer might not, so you might want to go to a more conservative color that would be more appealing to others. They might come in and repaint the whole thing anyway, but that's just a cheap way to, you know, increase the sellability of your house. Another question would be, where will you move? So when you're listing your house, you may think that you want to wait until you've found a house to buy, and that can be something that you may want to do. But if you do that, you might be nervous and put a condition on the purchase of the house for the sale of yours. So you really have to be comfortable with the risk of, you know, waiting to sell your house until you find something to buy, or vice versa. You have to be comfortable with that risk. Another thing is to talk about when. When do you want to sell this house? So do you want a 60-day close? Do you want a 90-day close? Do you want July 1st, moving day in Canada? Or do you want something else? Another thing to think about would be your motivation. What's your motivation to sell? I've done another video on how to use your personal equity to get into investment properties. And that could be a motivation to sell. Maybe you want to sell this current property. You know, maybe it's gone up tremendously in value and it would help you because you don't want to refinance. You'd rather downsize, take some of the cash to start getting into real estate, investing. There could be any number of motivations. Maybe you're empty nesters now and your kids moved out, or you're having kids and you need a bigger house. What is your motivation? Just talk about that with your realtor. They won't disclose that to anyone else if you're a client, and you know, just helps them understand how to sell this. Are you really motivated? Like, did you get a job and you need to move now? You know, like, it's very important for them to know how to strategically place it in the market. And later I'll talk about offer dates and how to set that up and how that works. And that can be part of the motivation to selling if a realtor knows that. So obviously a very important question is, what's the price? So your realtor should provide you with a comparative market analysis. And what a comparative market analysis, or CMA, is it basically takes nothing really before the last 12 months, so the last 6 to 12 months. And in this market, things are changing so much, so it's almost, maybe 6 months out. Looks at the surrounding area and what things are selling for comparatively to what you have. So for example, you may want to look in your neighborhood or surrounding neighborhoods to see if you have a 3-bedroom house with 2 baths, what a 3-bedroom house with 2 baths was going for. What are their upgrades compared to yours? Did they have gas fireplace, wood fireplace, pool, hot tub, you know, et cetera, et cetera? Did they have an in-law suite, that kind of thing? That comparative market analysis will really help you decide on price and strategically place yourself in an area where you are competitive and maybe setting yourself up because you're in a seller's market to receive competing offers. It would also be important for you to discuss kind of in your heart, whoever is part of the decision making, how much you're willing to receive. So let's just say, for example, you list for $750,000 because you think you want to get $850,000. You want a bidding war, so you're going to go kind of in that level where you're hoping for a bidding war, creating an offer date. Okay, but let's say it doesn't work. Let's say the strategy doesn't work on offer day. You only get one offer, and you're very disappointed. The offer actually comes in for list price, so you're like, oh well, it came in at $750,000. So you really should be having a conversation before. What are your tolerated amounts? That's one on the price. There's other things I'll talk a little bit about later as well, just in regards to what offers can look like in competing situations. So just talk about what you're willing to accept on the offer, and if you do that beforehand, it really gives you perspective when you do get offers and doesn't make it an emotional decision. It makes it a rational decision. So after you've done this, discussed the price, done the pre-listing walkthrough, There's a few other things that you can consider, which would be, let's say you do a pre-listing inspection. This isn't a requirement, but a lot of people want to put in an inspection, obviously. If you're buying a house and I'm your agent, I'm going to suggest that you put in an inspection, and any good agent would. So an option to do this would be to do a pre-listing inspection. Now, you're going to end up having to pay for this. But let's say that you did a pre-listing inspection and you needed to do a septic inspection, let's say a wet inspection for a wood-burning fireplace, and you did a home inspection. Let's say that would be, I don't know, $1,000, $1,500. Let's say $1,500 for argument's sake. Well, if you do these inspections, it actually may stop some of the prospective buyers from needing or wanting to do these inspections. So when they come in with an offer later, they may have less conditions. So this can be a strategy to create better offers, especially on offer date if you're hoping and expecting to get competing offers. So that's something you should talk to with your realtor about. Talk about the benefits, the drawbacks. It can end up costing $1,500, and someone's going to want to do it anyway. Maybe you only get one offer or no offers, and you have to change the price. Like, there's a lot of things that can happen, so you have to really be comfortable with, well, I think I'm preparing my house in the best way possible. You have to be comfortable with this. I could tell you every piece of advice in the world so that I'm comfortable, but if you're not comfortable, then you shouldn't go forward with it, right? So listen to the realtor's advice, hear their suggestions, but be comfortable with it yourself. They aren't the one that has to live with the decision, you are. So it's very important that you are comfortable with the decisions that you're making. So staging is another interesting piece that you can do when you're preparing your property. What staging is it's essentially going through and making your house look the best possible way it can. Some realtors can advise you on how to do this, just like removing personal effects, personal photos. While they're very special to you, when someone else walks in, the main thing you want is them to see themselves living there. And if there's photos of you and your family or all around, it becomes very difficult for them to picture themselves there. It's more your house, not their house, and you want them to feel like it's their house. So that's just a small example of what staging can be. You can hire professional stagers if you'd like. This would all be part of the discussion during the realtors, talk to you about what they're going to do to market the property. So you should talk about if you'd like to hire a stager or not. Another one would be the photography. You can hire a professional photographer. You can, these days, honestly, you can get pretty good photos even with your phone, especially if you have lighting for your phone or a little contraption. But you want your house to look really good. You want the whole idea of having photos is you want people to come. You don't want to trick people. You don't want to get them there and then they're like, oh man, this place, it's not really nice comparatively to the photos. You want to give an accurate picture, but you want to give an accurate picture while at the same time making it look appealing. So, declutter, remove, make sure you swept and vacuumed and clean the walls and that kind of thing, just to make sure that the pictures are really nice and well laid out. You can do a walkthrough if you'd like. Those sometimes are useful. If you own property or have a beautiful area, you could, if you have a drone or you want to hire someone to do drone photography, that's an interesting thing that could create some more curb appeal just from people looking online. So that's, all part of kind of the pre-list discussion that you'd have with the realtor, how it's going to be marketed, how it's going to work. The next conversation, once you've decided on a realtor, is you're going to talk about your directions as the seller. So what that means, there's a schedule form called the schedule of the seller's directions. It's form 244. And what it does is it talks about, for example, for this example, I'm actually going to say that we are going to have an offer date. I'll explain what that is in a second. And we will not accept bully offers or preemptive offers. And I'll explain what that is in a second as well. So on that, you would just tell the realtor your directions. Do you want to accept preemptive offers? And do you want to have an offer date? So what is an offer date? An offer date is a date and a time where you specify that is the date and time where you're going to read the offers with your realtor. So, for example, let's say that we make the offer date for March 31st at 2 p.m. That means that the offers will be expected at March 31st, 2 p.m. Now, we're also going to say that there's no preemptive offers. What a preemptive offer is that someone is very interested in the property, or it can be called a bully offer, and they come in with an offer before March 31st, 2 p.m. Now, if you've specified on Form 244 that preemptive offers are not allowed, those won't be considered. Those preemptive offers will not be looked at because that's the directions that you have given, okay? And the realtor is supposed to follow your directions. So if there's no preemptives being accepted, then they wouldn't be accepted as registered offers. So when you move on to getting registered offers, you're going to want the irrevocable date. The irrevocable date is the time the buyer gives you, the seller, to decide on when that offer becomes null and void. So for example, we use March 31st, 2 p.m. as the offer date and time. Most people would make it, let's say 6 p.m., 8 p.m., 10 p.m. of that same day, the day after, so that you have time until 6 p.m. or 8 p.m. to decide if you'd like to reject, counter, or accept the offer. So you as the seller only have three options. It's to reject, counter, or accept one offer. You can reject all of the offers, you can counter one offer, or accept one offer. You cannot accept two offers, you cannot counter two offers, you can only counter one offer or accept one offer. All of the others would then be rejected. Now, a very important thing when you're countering an offer is to know that you are then giving the power back to that buyer, because you are saying, I give you an irrevocable time until whenever. Until that time lapses, that means that the decision is then in the buyer's hands. And if they say, no, I'm not interested in this offer, this counter offer, and reject it, that means all of the other offers are likely gone, unless the irrevocable time on some of them was very long, but they're probably all gone. And then your agent would have to go back and say, hey, the last offer didn't work out. We're looking for more offers. Do you guys want to come back? So when you're looking at offers and when various offers come in, let's say that you have this March 31st, 2 p.m. Offer date. Let's talk about if you get, I don't know, let's say 10 offers, okay? So 10 offers, it's really difficult to remember. I mean, when you're looking at offer 1 and then you go through and you're at offer 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, it's very difficult actually to remember likely what offer 1 was. So there's typically a realtor will create, like a offer comparison, okay? And what the offer comparison would look at is obviously primarily price for you would be very important. Price is not always just the number one thing. So let's say, for example, I'll kind of clarify what I mean by that. Let's say, for example, you're looking to get, we talked about this example of $750,000. So let's say that you're looking to get $750,000 and someone comes in at $1 million and you're like, wow, that's amazing, okay? But they have a condition of financing. And your agent asks the buyer's agent, how are they getting financing? Oh, they're financing it through the bank, and they have a pre-approval already. Well, a pre-approval, while it is helpful, it's not an actual letter of commitment on your house. Okay, so they'd have to go through the process of making sure that that bank would want a loan on your house. So if that buyer's circumstances happen to have changed from the time that they got the pre-approval, they may actually not be able to get financing. Even though that's $1 million, it could potentially be not the greatest offer. Let's say someone else offered $925,000 and they are paying cash, and they're offering a huge deposit, let's say a $200,000 deposit to secure it. Even though that's $50,000 less than the $1 million, they don't have the condition of financing. They're comfortable with the pre-inspection that you have, so they waive the condition, like they didn't include a condition of inspection. And maybe they don't have any other conditions. So they just offered $950,000 firm. Maybe that's the best offer. You really have to talk about the pros and the cons of each of these. Maybe the date on some of these offers, the closing date just does not work at all for you. Let's say that you want to move in 60 days and they want to take possession in 30 days, or they want to take possession in 120 days. There's a lot to consider when these offers come in. So really just evaluate the pros and the cons with your realtor. Talk about what is best for you. And remember, I had said earlier, if you come up with kind of these deal breaker things before you're in the heat of this moment and refer back to that, you're not going to be making an emotional decision. You're going to be making a rational decision based on things that you decided when you weren't in this, crazy time of offer season. Okay. So once things have gone through, let's say that you've accepted an offer and it has conditions. Well, the offer isn't over. Typically, conditions will be for, let's say, approximately 10 days, and they have to fulfill those conditions for 10 days. For those next 10 days, they may need to get to the property to do their inspection, a septic inspection, a wet inspection. The bank may need to come and do an appraisal. The insurance may need to come and do an appraisal. So just be prepared that during this time, there may be a lot of people visiting. Whatever the agreement is, you have to know in those conditions what's happening. Another thing to know is that at closing, so for example, let's say that you paid your property taxes for the whole year at the beginning of the year. We're in March. You have a closing date of May 1st. There will be adjustments that happen for the lawyer. You need to be aware of those. You're going to end up having to pay for, the gas, the electricity up to that date. If you have a propane tank, for example, and you're giving, that's included in it, the amount of propane that's in there would actually be credited to you, as with that property tax that I talked about. So these are the types of things that can happen on closing. So your lawyer is going to go through that with you. I'm not a lawyer by any means, or have no law expertise. I'm just telling you that you can expect these type of things. If you have any questions, comments, things I might have missed, things that you just want to talk about, or you want to talk to me about selling your house, please feel free to visit my website, dreammuskoka.ca, or just comment here and I will respond to you. My phone number is 705-955-2233. Okay, thanks for watching.